All right, guys. Welcome back to the podcast. Welcome back to Tomboy Official. Today is going to be a 2-episode day because the previous one I just recorded first. And this one I'm recording now. I'm going to post first because it's actually the day 4 of the next 3 pages of this Lily Singh book. But yeah, I went off on this like tangent and never really felt like circling back. So I decided, let me circle back and actually record this episode as a separate segment. So this episode is going to be based on the book that I'm going through, but I could go through it faster. Like, it's a very fast read. I just, you know, I like to, why not, why not break it into like little topics to talk about? And it feels like so far 3 pages is working out. So I think yesterday I was talking more. Oh, so basically, I'll just say all the stuff about like my days, kind of like check-ins and kind of like updates about my schedule and routine and all of that, and just like a lot of other information that was just coming out of my brain. That is going to be in the other segment. This, I just want to talk kind of more about the book, and kind of topics related to this few pages. But all the other updated stuff on like what the heck my brain is doing this morning, which is kind of just, my brain is in the mood to think, and so I'm just I'm just gonna spend most of today just kind of like, not all of today, but as long as I feel like it, I'm gonna just kind of let my mind just kind of wander for a bit, and like probably not really watch shows or anything, and just kind of probably write a little bit and work on some music, um, and creative stuff, pretty much. I didn't do a lot of that yesterday, and yeah, the other episode will explain all the other stuff. So the next few pages are pages 13, 14, 15. Pretty much she starts talking about living like a life of happiness and fulfillment, and how generationally, in some cultures or just some generations of people, based on their circumstances during their time period, they think about they think about things in their lives a little bit differently, such as like, maybe needing to struggle to support a large family, and so things like happiness, fulfillment weren't necessarily prioritized, and also how she talks about prioritizing mental health and not really being taught about that or learning about that. I think that is a normal conversation for, especially today's time period, because I was up until recently working in mental health, and up until recently I had not really heard about mental health in the mainstream. Now, mind you, I don't really watch TV like that, or like haven't really been around television for years in a way where I would like watch it, Like, I was never the kind of person to like sit on the couch with my roommates and like watch TV. Um, and it just never interests me. Um, but yeah, I do like sports, so whenever I would come to LA, if there were sports on, and I felt like watching sports, I would watch sports or like at friends' houses, but I never actually like got a TV for my bedroom. So I haven't had a TV for like years in my room, and I kind of like it. I kind of like just hearing myself think and not having to deal with a lot of background noise. Um, and so, yeah, I'm uh, interestingly enough, um, like, yeah, I just kind of like the quiet of things. But yeah, she was really not, uh, like, basically, she was talking a lot about um, just, how um, in her household, at least in her family, it wasn't like part of um, a normal conversation to really be talking about like mental health, taking care of yourself, your mental health, and yourself, self care, that kind of thing. Um, like there were focuses on like uh, career success, educational success, financial success, things like that, but not so much on like self care and things like that. So I think that is kind of normal too. Like I would say I never grew up with anybody saying anything about mental health. Like I remember, you know, like we would get lectured about stuff and like taught about things. And I remember when my dad started teaching us more about like, okay, wake up and cook breakfast. It's good to eat breakfast before you go for the day, and like, um, and kind of taught us some meals to make, like how to make those like Italian sausages and eggs, like scrambled eggs, French toast. I think that's what we learned how to make. And then he would have us waking up early doing that. Taught us more about like washing dishes. It's kind of interesting. Like, yeah, I know. Like, but yeah, my dad's the one who taught us that kind of stuff. Um, Taught us, um, yeah, like I think that's mostly like as far as that kind of stuff. Like he taught us that kind of stuff. Um, like hygiene related things. Like, wash your face, brush your teeth, like check yourself before you leave the house, like, clean the house when you have friends over and stuff like that. Like, stuff like that. So, um, but there was never like a conversation around like what happens if you can't wake up on time for school and you have depression, or like if you're not sleeping well or whatever. Like we never talked about that kind of stuff. It wasn't that was like important. Like definitely it was like, you don't want to be walking around smelly or have a bad reputation for being like a mess or whatever, but um, you also, you know, the reason why people might have like poor hygiene or like be really messy, it might be like being overwhelmed with like mental health, kind of concerns. Um, and I can say when I'm not feeling my best, I don't really clean that much. Like, which is why, like I was mentioning in the next recording, how I was like cleaning. I was like, I don't clean a lot. I don't not ever clean. Like I do laundry and like the stuff that like has to be cleaned, but like you're not gonna see me like dusting every day or like scrubbing every day. But like I try not to let things get like build up. Like when I start seeing dust and when I start seeing, a mess, then I'm like, okay, I need to clean it. But I wouldn't say I kind of like clean it in advance so it doesn't get a little messy. Um, but I'm trying to incorporate a routine into like cleaning and stuff. Um, I did like cleaning while I was listening to the Chosen Family podcast. I liked cleaning, listening to that. But I definitely was cleaning because I had coffee as well. And I moved one thing and I was like, you know what? Today's the day I'm going to clean out this dresser. And then I just started cleaning everything out. So, and then I was like, oh, let me like do the floors too while I'm at it. Because I'm taking out the trash. I might as well like sweep up the floors and stuff. So, like, I didn't do the best job, you know. I shook out the rugs and stuff. I didn't do like the best job, but it looks far better than what it did. I cleaned off my keyboard, put some of my music and tabs in place and stuff, and like I'm kind of preparing the areas where I kind of need to get work done. Like I had like a pile of like mail and stuff, so I put stuff in folders and have some folders there and like yeah, just getting the sections of my room a little organized. But I don't usually do that, you know, because usually I've been like working or like when I've come to this house, I'm like in and then out of the house. But yeah, like I think cleaning is kind of related to mental health. Um, and it's one of those signs that can be a little like, okay, like when somebody's overwhelmed, they're probably not going to have like the cleanest of spaces. But sometimes it helps. Like I am noticing that cleaning helps. And, you know, I don't know. Like I don't like feeling like um any kind of like embarrassment about like my living space. Like, you know, it's kind of more of a confidence thing too. Like I don't think my parents could not care less if I'm cleaning my room or not, but I know that they come in here. Like they don't like never come in my room. Like they see it. Like they know what it looks like. And, you know, um like I haven't always been like the cleanest person, but I haven't always been the messiest either. Um but yeah, like I'm thinking, you know, different things like that. Like we were taught about it, but we weren't really taught about like the underlying mental health related aspect to how to keep things going or how to notice when like if you can't focus in class or if you can't wake up on time or if you can't go to sleep on time, you know, things like that, how it's going to affect your grades. And like yeah, you're expected to get good grades, but it's like, you know, if something's affecting your grades, what is it? Is it like a lack of discipline? Are you playing too much video games? Are you not spending enough time reviewing? Or is it like some other kind of thing going on that needs to get managed? We were never taught about that. And even when I was cleaning my room, you know, I found all these like, not like a whole lot, but I did find like journals from like 2002 and like 2008, you know, journal entries and stuff. And I was looking at it, and even music that I wrote like way back then, even like before the year 2000, I had some songs I'd written, and I was like in high school, and like, you know, like the type of stuff I would write, like I'm like I wasn't happy, you know. Like I'm like reading it and I'm just like damn, like this is like some depressing shit. Like I had a lot going on. um not necessarily like sadness though. It wasn't like depths of despair sadness. It was just like a lot of just like questions that I didn't have answers for, and a lot of just like seeing things that I didn't understand, and just kind of like how different things were like affecting me. um I don't know if I'm gonna go through those journals and see if there's any like queer related kind of stuff, but I thought about it. Because sometimes when I read through things, I'm like, oh, like, okay. Um, like things that I didn't like catch before that I was like, oh, that's why I wanted to like hang out with her all the time. But it's like things like that. Like I was kind of noticing that about some people in my life that I was like, okay, it makes sense that I kind of really liked being around that person. Um, but yeah, like mental health wasn't a discussion until more recently. And I was pretty shocked when I turned on the TV and I was like, there's all these medication commercials. BetterHelp is like famous now. There are other companies that are famous um, with like online mental health services. I can say like I've used those types of services before. They're convenient. They're like when you have extra money, it's a little affordable. Like if you're really broke, it's not affordable, but $150 a month is not that unaffordable. Especially because it's for the month. It's not like per hour. So like, I think BetterHelp and Talkspace do things like for one session per week, or like a combination of however many sessions they say per week. Like maybe two text chats and like one. I'm just making this up. I could be wrong. Two text chats and one, um, video chat per week, and then so that's like about three sessions or one session and two support sessions um, for $150 a month. I mean, that's not bad. Uh, and then I think Seven Cups does $150 for the month. It might be less than 30 days because I feel like I've gotten charged strangely. Well, I thought I canceled on time. Um, and I feel like the services have changed too. Like I mentioned this before, but Seven Cups used to have like a cool peer support where you could just like chat with people on there and it was more supportive. And I'm finding that when you chat with people on there now, like if they're not like the paid therapist, I feel like the quality is really not good. Like they're really kind of like not available, to actually talk about things. And a lot of those types of services where you can just need like instant support, the wait times are way longer than they used to be. Like I've used these types of services before because I find them convenient and helpful, and I've found them less helpful. They've been more convenient but less helpful. And I'm not saying that people shouldn't use them, but I'm just thinking, before they all became popular, I wasn't having any kind of issues with it. And now I've noticed like they're definitely more like maybe, impacted with, more clients. Probably that's what it is. Um, and so they don't really provide like the like depth of services that they used to provide. Um, but they're still better than nothing. They're still really good. They're just not. I've noticed, at least in my own experience, that they offer less support, and it seems like maybe they're taking on more work, so they're less available. And yeah, all those kind of peer support options definitely are less supportive and less available. Um, and if I'm noticing that and I'm just like on there, from time to time, I'm wondering how it's impacting people who are needing the services and aren't really maybe like aware. Um, and I think too, part of the problem might be because I was going through my work's EAP at one point, so that might also have contributed. Like maybe they didn't really like pay or something. Like I'm thinking there might have been something where it was like they just didn't offer good services or like hardly any services because the work was supposed to pay for it or whatever. But um, I don't really know. I don't know how to check it. Like there wasn't a way for me to check what actually happened. But yeah, these are like normal conversations these days. And um, before, when I first started using this stuff, I was using it because I was looking up resources for clients and I knew about it. And then once I was needing something, I was like, you know, I was kind of feeling too busy to like enroll in like a traditional therapy, go to an office. Like I was like, I don't want to add this to my schedule. So when I found, that, there were those other types of apps. I was like, okay. Um, I think I had originally found it for a client, and I think it was, I don't remember. I really just don't remember. But I remember finding it and knowing about it before I started using it, and then using it and liking it. I found it helpful. But these things weren't like, you know, part of the mainstream until pretty recently. You start seeing ads about it all over the place, and it's one of the main pushed apps right now. Like, I've even seen television commercials. So, I mean, I'm like, if I see TV commercials and I'm not even really watching that much TV, then I can imagine other people are seeing a lot. Um, so yeah, mental health hasn't been a discussion the whole time. It's more of a discussion lately for sure. Like, people are a lot more open to discussing. Uh, and like I've mentioned before, most of my friend group in San Diego, they all work in mental health for the most part. So, a lot of them are, we all met through work in mental health. And so, um, you know, like, if people are engaging in therapy for themselves and that kind of stuff, like, that's not something that we don't talk about. But it's like also because we're used to talking about therapy. Like, people weren't used to talking about therapy like in 2019, 2018 or so. People weren't talking about this, um not that much anyways. And now people know how to get services. Like, at least the information is more available, and a lot of people are needing that support. um and yeah, but yeah, my parents' generation, this was not a thing. Even earlier, for my generation, this wasn't really like a thing. So it just, I don't know, it's good. It definitely made it hard for me to want to keep working in the field, though, because I was just getting too overwhelmed with it all. Like, to be facing so much more work and so much different types of work with not getting paid more, as inflation rates keep increasing. Like, that was just not a good combination to stick to. I was just like, there, like, what's in this for me? And then I was like, well, I don't really need to work here, so I just won't. I didn't really feel like I was getting much out of it. There's a lot that I love and miss about the work, but um, I can kind of put that into other things, I feel. Um, but yeah, I don't have to work specifically for a company just to be able to do some of the stuff I want to do. Um, like, I don't really want to have a therapy role anymore. Um, Not necessarily in that way. I really like giving people food for thought. That's kind of, because it's for me too. Like, it's not like I'm just like, you, anyone who's listening, like, you need to know this and I haven't figured it out. Like, clearly I don't have it figured out. Like, you can tell I don't have it figured out. I talk about it all the time that I don't. Um like, I'm not hiding that. I'm not hiding, that, things get hard, things get confusing. I'm trying not to be negative. Like, I do notice that maybe at some point it kind of hit me that I was like, dang, man, like, I'm on here just like ranting and venting about stuff. But that's, my life isn't always the simplest, like, and that's okay. But, you know, um, one thing about podcasting that's interesting is that it kind of helps, for me anyways. It's not like the only reason why I like it. It's not specifically why I'm doing it, but I do notice it kind of helps me see, um, in a way, what other people might be seeing out of me. Like, like maybe I am kind of negative. Maybe I am pretty irritable to be around at times when I'm not, especially when I'm not like feeling too great. Um, I do have a friend who would often just ask me if I'm okay, and I'm like, when I look back on that, I'm like, I know what she was referring to now, because like, I would kind of have a lot of the same feelings that I have been having, kind of like around the house, lately. Just kind of like, ooh, like I don't really know if I really want to be around people, but I'd be like literally out, like hanging out, like trying to like have fun together with a friend, and then like just like in an irritated mood, and not irritated at them specifically, but just I could feel like just kind of, it was kind of tense all the time, and not all the time, but regularly. And I did notice when that went away, like it was subtle, but I did notice, when she was mentioning to me, like, oh, you seem happier. And I was kind of like, yeah, I am happier. Like, I think that other job I had was like super stressful for me. Um, and I didn't really notice how much it was impacting me. That was before I got to the last job I was at, the last job site I was at. Um, that one was when she was like, "Oh, you seem happy." I was like, "I was pretty happy." Um, um, but you know, things have been kind of rough since like summer, since like April of last year. So it's been rough, but it's just mostly been rough because there's been a lot of transitioning, and that's not easy. Um, it's just been a transitional period. All the moving, all the like thinking about like career stuff. Like I wasn't ready to like jump careers yet. I wasn't like emotionally ready. I'm being like pushed to do it. It's like I'm like, baby bird pushed out of the nest kind of thing. It was like I was not ready. But this economic climate kind of like is pushing me to do it because I know I can. Like I have the options and the opportunities, so I don't really feel like I should like um, avoid doing it and stay kind of unhappy where I was. Like I'm willing to take the leap, but also I'm not ready to fully do all the stages that I need to do. So it's kind of slow going, but um, yeah, uh, with that mental health topic of conversation, um, you know, um, there's um, like there's a saying that people mention where they say like hurt people, and then she was kind of mentioning something like that, where she was saying like if you do what you need um, for yourself and you're happier, that's going to affect other people as well. It's going to affect how you interact with them and their interactions when you're together with them. It's going to affect that relationship and those dynamics. And it's going to, in turn, have a, an effect on their reactions too, like their emotional, reactions or their energy and their memories and things like that. And so, I, often say, that I worry at times that like, I don't want to get in anybody's way. I don't want to get in somebody's way. I don't want to be the person that's the jerk friend or the friend that is not trustworthy, or the friend that is um, just not. fun to be around or nice to be around. I don't want to be that person. So, um, yeah, am, yeah, that is something that kind of worries me, because I have been kind of badly trained in social environments. Um, Definitely had a lot of exposure to toxic environments. Um, I don't ever want that to become something that's like something I'm spreading to other people. Like, I think it's not maybe possible to never mess something up. I don't think that's possible, but um, still, I don't want it to be like part of my personality. Like, if it has to happen, I'd rather it be just like, okay, it's just one of those things that happens just because I'm social, not because, I've got issues that I'm not dealing with or that I'm not working on, uh, that are affecting other people. Or even worse, like issues that I don't even know that I have. Like, definitely, I know that people have pointed out to me, at least in the past, I don't think recently, but like in the past for sure, people have pointed out like how I can be kind of direct. And I can kind of feel it. I can kind of feel it more now, but I notice that I don't always, but I can kind of feel it more now. Um, but, sometimes I don't notice how I'm coming across. Like, I might be just like feeling a certain way, and just the way I talk to people, like my tone is just kind of not nice, but I don't think I ever really intend to be rude. Um, I don't think I've ever talked to someone and like intended to be like a jerk towards them. Um, like, usually if I'm that upset with somebody, I'm just gonna, you know, keep it to myself as much as I can. I'm not gonna like say things angrily to them, like not on purpose, but I think maybe I can't hide it as well as I wish I could. Um, and I'm also not that forthcoming. Like, when I do have something going on, I'm not like able to really explain what it is. Like, I kind of know that I feel like I'm like, okay, this, like, I'm kind of feeling like tense today, but I don't really know why. Like, there's not like, I can't give like more of an explanation, you know. But sometimes I notice it. I'm pretty sure a lot of times I don't. But until somebody, multiple people kind of pointed out to me that I can be kind of direct, I'm hoping that that was a time period where that was happening. And I'm hoping it's not just like how people see my personality. But I mean, I do have a lot of family members that are like that too. So, and I notice it from them, and I'm like, ooh, like this person's kind of like a little, too direct sometimes. And so, um, I kind of notice that. But, yeah, I mean, I just try to pay attention to people's reactions to what I say. Um, and try not to just be like talking so much when I'm in a conversation with somebody that I don't notice how what I'm saying is affecting another person. Um, like, that's kind of as good as I've gotten at it, and that's if I'm like in the mindset to do that. I mean, it's different if I'm like drunk or stoned or whatever. Like, that's why I kind of prefer to be like a little more on the sober side. Like, I'm not sober at all. Like, I'm not trying to be, but just socially interacting with people, sometimes it's like I don't want to be on anything, just because it can be a little hard for me to like tell like how are they reacting to me? How am I reacting in this situation? Am I acting weird? Am I okay? Um, do I seem like I'm okay? Kind of thing. Um, like I don't want to be like I really don't want to get in anybody's way. I don't want to be somebody. I don't want to be the person that somebody else is mad at. Like losing sleep over being mad at some stupid thing that they said. I don't want to be that person. But so I try hard. I hope people know that I try at least. Like I think that's the least I can do is to try. Ideally, one day I'll hopefully be as good as I aspire to be with every kind of social situation that I have to deal with, but I really do try to practice having good social skills. It's something I actively practice because I socialize with a lot of people, and I like staying in contact with my friends and stuff, even though everybody's spread out and sometimes we don't see each other for like a year or something. But I kind of really enjoy, the connections I have with people, especially when it's like long term connections. To me, those can be kind of fun too, because it's like we've known each other so long that there's just this comfort of like I can just be like, sorry, dude, I couldn't make it because I just wasn't feeling like talking to all the people from our childhood that were going to be there or whatever, and they kind of get it because they know those people. And so it's like sometimes I can kind of talk about it easier. Um, but yeah, like that kind of comment about like hurt people, that's definitely true. Um, Sometimes people don't know that they're hurting. Like I don't think I ever really learned how to be like too attuned to myself. That's something more recently that I've been learning. Like I'm used to just like bulldoze, ignore, just power through, plow through, you wake up, you're feeling crappy, okay, whatever, like go to work, like there was never like, oh, maybe you need to take some days. Like that started more recently. Like up until the first year after I was working, when school ended for me, for the reasons that I've explained multiple times before, when school ended for me, I didn't take any days off, I don't think. Maybe one, but I don't really think I took any days off except for after a year of being there. So the first year I worked as an employee, I didn't take any PTO for like a year. And I was stressed, I was already stressed with all that had been happening at school, So basically I had no break between the time that I had all those issues going on and then my first year of working in this field. And then I started taking days off, and then I started learning about taking days off, and you know, started only kind of taking days off when I was like kind of needing to, but I would do it. But every now and then I'd wake up and just be like, oh man, this insomnia, and I really wouldn't have slept or something, and I would just text my boss and be like, I'm really sorry I can't make it in today. And like, because I didn't do it too often, they kind of knew, like, if I woke up, wasn't feeling good, and I would just be like, I can't make it today, sorry. But I only really did it when I really had like bad insomnia. I think I did it once when I was like still kind of like hungover and like probably still testing too strong to like drive to work. Um, and I think I did it when like I would do it for times like that. Or like I would leave a little early when I felt ill, but it wasn't all just like going out. And then I started strategically planning like, okay, Pride season, like different seasons. I would start taking days off because I had like fun stuff to do. Um, but towards the end of this job, I started taking days off just because I didn't want to be at work anymore. And I was just like, I can take the days off. I just don't want to be here. Let me go to the beach today. Screw this, you know. I wasn't being negligent though. I wasn't neglecting my work. I just, knew that I had so many days I could take off, and I was like, I'm just gonna take them because I don't really care. I don't really care to be at work all the time because I just wasn't feeling it, and I started needing a lot of mental health days. But that wasn't something I was ever taught. You know, um, I think I've mentioned before. I don't hardly remember. My dad or mom even like really taking days off of work. Like they didn't take like mental health days and stuff like that. Um, like when I was a kid, I remember my dad getting really ill once, and I think he missed a couple days of work. That was when we lived closer to LAX, and that's like once. And from like age 5 to like my teens, through my teens, I don't think he took days off. Like I know there were some times, like when I was 16, he went to Zimbabwe for a while, so I know he wasn't working uh, then when he was in Zimbabwe. So that was maybe like a month or a couple weeks. Um, so pretty much from the time I was a kid all the way until I was 16, I don't think he really took any days off. He might have taken some days off when we did sports camps in the mountains. I don't remember if he was only there weekends or all the weekdays too, because it was like a week long camp for soccer, then a week long camp for basketball. I don't remember honestly, but he might have taken days off there. Um, but yeah, just a few here and there, not that many at all, just a couple days. Um, I think he was saying when he left one of the hospitals he was working at in LA, he was, I think he had like, I don't know if he said 1,500 or 15,000 hours of PTO or something, like over that amount. And they didn't used to cash it out back then, or he said they didn't cash it out. So I was like, okay, like that's the kind of household I grew up in. Like when people are having in the thousands ranges of PTO that you can take, it's like if you're not going to cash it out, then what's the point of even not taking the days? Like you might as well take the days. But I grew up around workaholics, and so um, that's kind of what I saw. And I don't think, you know, like I can see even without reading those journals, like I've done enough reflecting on my life to know that I definitely had times in my life when I was depressed. Um, I don't know if I knew what it was. I think I didn't really see a problem with it until maybe my senior year of high school. I was like, oh shoot. Because I mean, I think my junior year, I really noticed getting depressed and would come home after work, sorry, after school, each day and just kind of like sleep after school, and then I would play guitar. Like I would do my homework and stuff, but I would like play guitar pretty much till dinner. So that was basically my day. I would come home, nap, wake up, do my homework, and then play guitar until dinner. Um, Almost every single night, and it was mostly Metallica. Just these songs that, like mostly the ballads that were like off the Black album and some of the older, ballads, Fade to Black and all that. And it's kind of weird. Like I've known the Fade to Black lyrics for like ages now, and I read it more recently, and it hit me. I was like, oh shoot, this song is like really about depression, and I didn't really even put two and two together. Um, but that just happens to be my favorite song, you know. Um, it was my favorite song since high school. Like when I first heard one of my friends who's a guitarist, kind of is the one who turned me on to Metallica because he was playing like Nothing Else Matters and One and Fade to Black, and then you know you know, yeah, like you know, um, yeah, just some good memories. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But basically, he taught me a little bit about it, and I started playing. I played a little bit with him. I would play the main, like he would play the lead, and I would play the second guitar, um, like rhythm, and so it was kind of cool to jam on those songs with him a little bit. Like we didn't do it all the time, but it was like a few times I remember doing that, and I was like, cool, because like he was a person I really admired, especially musically. He was very musically talented, and for him to be like wanting to play those songs with me, like I was pretty pumped up about it. I was like, cool, like he actually wants to like play some songs together, and so and they were like good songs, like where I was like, why does he want me to play of all the people? But I think he knew that I like liked the songs too, and so like we played those songs sometimes, and yeah, I would play it like all the time, and like it took me till like later, like more recently, like within the last few years, like I was reading, like I used to write out lyrics in a notebook. So when I came back to LA, I saw my notebooks with my lyrics and stuff like that, and I was like going through them, and I remember reading it. I'd written this back in like high school, and I like was reading just the lyrics while I was like just sitting there, just like chilling. And then I was like, oh shoot, like I never just read the lyrics before. It was always just like absent minded, like singing, because like I was usually playing guitar. I learned the lyrics, but I was usually playing guitar. So even when I would sing the song, I was just playing guitar, uh, singing. I wasn't like focusing like on the meaning of the lyrics and stuff. So, um, and yeah, like even with the music I used to play, the music I used to listen to, the stuff I used to write on my own, the art I used to make, like it's some dark stuff. Like I was, definitely dealing with things, and usually it was through creative outlet. That's how I dealt. That's how I used to cope with stuff. Like I don't think I had words for anything, but I knew how playing guitar made me feel. I knew how listening to my music made me feel, or drawing made me feel, and painting and stuff like that. So I just gravitated more towards that, and like writing and stuff like that. And so I had creative outlets, but I didn't really have like language surrounding like I need coping skills, like but that's how I just naturally found that I coped. Um, and it's kind of weird that like, I did kind of stop doing a lot of that stuff when I moved to San Diego. Um, and I don't think I really had any other coping skills other than like going to the gym by that point and just socializing. I had a really active social life. I always kind of kept that up, and then got some exercise and stuff like that. So my hangouts were helpful and all that. But yeah, I really fell away from a lot of the creative outlets I had, especially because I was like studying so hard, and like it was just a lot of the stuff I do is very intellectual too. So it's like when you're writing a dissertation and writing a thesis and writing reports and papers all day, like 20, 30 page papers, and like reading articles all day, the last thing you want to do is like sit down and like write short stories and journal and write lyrics and stuff. Like for me, I was like, I need something that's not that. So I kind of gravitated more towards partying because I was like, well, this doesn't involve too much thinking at all. So it helped. It served its purpose. But yeah, like that's kind of, how I think about these topics for, today's few pages. Um, but yeah, so I've been up for a while now. Um, I need to eat something. Then I'm gonna get on with recording and things, but I do need to actually eat a meal. Um, I haven't eaten since about like 3 o'clock yesterday. So, but it was big. It was like a big, gigantic burger combo. I got a local turkey burger. Um, but yeah, so I'm gonna eat breakfast and then basically just have a creative day. Stretching. I might have a um I might study a little bit later, but I don't really know if I really will. But yeah, that's it for now. I hope everybody has a good morning and thanks for listening.